Welcome back to this channel for practice problems for actuarial exams. My name is Krzysztof Ostaszewski. You can find information about me at smarturl.it/Jedi. My advice on how to pass actuarial exams is at smarturl.it/pass. I direct the actuarial program at Illinois State University. You can find information about it at smarturl.it/actuary. If you would like to make a tax-deductible donation to support our students, please go to smarturl.it/help ISU actuary. Here's a problem for today for exam LTAM for July 11, 2018. It's problem number 3 from written answer section of Spring 2018 exam MLC. SOA Life Insurance Company issues a special fully discrete whole life policy to a 75-year-old. The death benefit is $1,000 during the first year and increases by $1,000 in each subsequent year. Level annual premiums are payable throughout the term of the policy. You are given the following information. A termination expense of $500 is paid at the end of the year of death. Commissions are 40% of the first premium and 8% of all subsequent premiums. Issue expenses are $400 per policy. Maintenance expenses are $45 per policy at the beginning of each year, including the first. Mortality follows the illustrative life table. Interest rate is 6%. The annual net premium is $662.46. Gross premiums are calculated using the equivalence principle. Part A question is, show that the gross premium is 920 to the nearest 10. You should calculate the value to the nearest 1. Part B, calculate the gross premium reserve at the end of each of the first 2 policy years. A change in regulation now requires SOA Life to use a net premium reserve method. SOA Life decides to use the full preliminary term FPT modified net reserve method. Part C question is calculate the first year modified net premium under the FPT method. D. Show that the modified net premium for the second and subsequent years under the FPT method is 760 to the nearest 10. You should calculate the value to the nearest 1. Part E. Calculate the FPT reserve at the end of each of the first 2 policy years. Part F. Explain why the company would use the FPT method, which assumes non-level net premiums, instead of an unmodified net premium reserve with level net premiums. And here's the solution of Part A. We calculate the gross premium, denoted by G, by writing out the equations implied by the equivalence principle for both the gross premium and the net premium. So for the gross premium, the premium is paid as a life annuity on a 75-year-old that pays for life insurance, which is increasing 1,000 times the basic increasing policy, plus 500 for the expenses upon death, plus all the other expenses, which is 0.08 G A double dot 75 plus 0.33 G plus 400 plus 45 A double dot 75. But at the same time, we know that the net premium, level net premium, is 662.46, and that times A double dot 75 must be equal to 1,000 times IA 75, increasing life insurance. Discrete increasing life insurance at age 75. Now that of course tells us that we can basically take the second equation's value for the death benefit and put that 662.46 into first equation, replacing the death benefit there. And from that we can solve that equation for G, and becomes 707.46 A double dot 75 plus 500 A 75 plus 400 divided by 0.92 A 75 minus 0.33. And then we just plug in the values of A double dot 75 and A 75, do the calculation, and get approximately 918.01. Note that the values for A 75, big A 75, and A double dot 75 are from the illustrative life table. That's I always indicate using the numbers from the table by writing ILT under the equal sign when I substitute the values from the table for what we're using, and we are told that we can use the table and that the interest rate is 6%. So it's the same rate that is used in the table. For part B, we use the recursive reserve formula and begin by noting that the reserve, as the policy starts, the reserve starts at 0, and then, of course, premiums are added and a reserve grows. So in this case, initial reserve of 0 plus premium minus the commissions, minus issue expenses, minus maintenance expenses, accumulated with interest, after paying for death benefit, which actually death benefit and expense, so 1,000 plus 50, for those who die, with property Q75 obtained from the illustrative life table, which is 0.05169, pays for the reserve at time 1. This is, of course, the gross premium reserve, because we're using the gross premium and we're including the expenses in the calculation. And the reserve, of course, at time 1 is only for those who survived. Those who died no longer have a policy at that point. And, of course, this is an equation in which the only unknown is 1v. So we solve it for 1v, and we calculate it to be about 36.51. The recursive relationship for the second year is the reserve that we just calculated plus gross premium after expenses accumulated at 6% minus death benefit and expenses upon death for those who die with property Q76 from the illustrative life table, and that pays for those who survive for reserve at time 2. And again, the only unknown is 2v. We calculate 2v from that and comes out to be approximately 789.66. Now we calculate the first year modified net premium under the FPT method. That first year modified net premium is equal to the cost of term insurance for 1 year for the benefit amount in year 1. So it's simply 1,000 times Q75 times 1.06 to the negative 1. This is a discount factor for the discounting from time 1 to time 0. And that comes out to be approximately 48.76. So you should remember that full preliminary term method takes the exact premium for 1 year term for the benefit of in that first year to be the net premium for the first year, or the benefit premium for the first year. And the result is that the reserve at policy duration 1 is 0, and it's, in a sense, starting anew a policy 1 year later, while a first year is basically a term insurance. That's what full preliminary term means. Now we will calculate the modified net premium for the second and subsequent years under the FPT method, typically denoted by beta. Alpha and beta are standard notations for this. First year benefit premium and renewal premium is beta, and for future years, year after alpha is used only for the first year. So since alpha and beta pay for the same things as the net level premium, they pay for the amount equal to 662.46 times A.75, but alpha is 48.76, and then beta is paid as A.76, but at time 1, if we bring it to time 0, we multiply by P75 times 1.06 to the negative 1. And this is an equation in which we know everything except for beta. Beta is the unknown, so we solve it for beta, and then plug in all the values from the illustrative life table, and comes out to be about 761.16. Now we calculate the FPT reserve at the end of each of the first 2 policy years. The key feature of the FPT method is that it produces a 0 reserve at policy duration 1, so 1v FPT is 0. We then proceed with the recursive relationship for the reserve at time 2. So reserve plus the premium used for this reserve, so FPT, renewal premium, 761.16, we just calculated, accumulated at the valuation interest rate of 6%, minus the cost of insurance. Now it's benefit premium or net premium reserve, so we ignore the expenses, so it's only the benefit cost paid for those who died, and the rest is for those who survive, so 1 minus Q76, the rest is for the reserve at policy duration 2, but it's the FPT reserve, of course. So now we solve this for 2V FPT, and we just calculate it, and it comes out to be 735.42. So the key reason why the company would use the FPT method, which assumes non-level net premiums, instead of an unmodified net premium reserve with level net premiums, is because expenses in the first year exceed first-year expense premium, and in order to keep a positive net premium reserve, generally required by regulators, company would have to invest a significant amount of capital in the policy in order for the policy to be issued. The situation that high expenses in the first year produce losses to the company requiring capital investment is called surplus strain. And surplus strain implies that companies would have to have substantial capital to issue new policies. The modified premium reserve methodology, of which FPT is a special case, in all other countries is called Zillmerized reserve, named after a Prussian actuary, August Zillmer, or in German pronounced August Zillmer, or in English it's pronounced probably August Zillmer. It's always very confusing how Americans pronounce foreign names, but that's okay. I guess August could be a name in English, then it would be reasonable because it's the translation of the name into English. But his last name, Zillmer, who invented in the 1860s. He invented it specifically for Prussian insurance companies to be able to compete with British companies, which at that time had much higher amounts of capital. Please remember this is copyrighted material. The problem itself comes from Society of Actuaries and belongs to a Society of Actuaries. The solution is mine. Good luck in your studies and good luck on the test.